Hello everyone. Today I'll be discussing about ethers and my name is V Sarita Rani, working as assistant professor of chemistry at Government Degree College Nirmal, Telangana state. So in this ethers topic we are going to learn about the definition, that is what are ethers and how ethers are classified and how the nomenclature is given for ethers, that is common nomenclature as well as IUPAC nomenclature, and the various preparation methods as well, and the properties of ethers. So coming to introduction of ethers, so what are ethers? Ethers are the compounds which have COC linkage in them. So they should have carbon oxygen carbon linkage, then only we can call them as ethers. You can also write as ROR. R is nothing but alkyl group. That means if this oxygen on either sides attached to R groups, that is also known as ether. So in ethers, the dialkyl or diaryl or alkyl and aryl groups are attached to the oxygen atom, which is centrally situated. So we can consider ethers as alkyl or aryl substituted derivatives of water, or they are the alkyl or aryl substituted compounds of water. Now look at this reaction here. This is water molecule. If we replace the two hydrogens present in the water molecule with alkyl groups, here I am replacing with 2R means two alkyl groups. So these two hydrogens are replaced by two alkyl groups and then we are getting ROR. So here these two R groups are known as alkyl groups. So we can call this ether as a dialkyl group. Suppose if we have one side R group, other side aryl group, this is called as alkyl aryl ether. So that's why in the beginning I told you that the oxygen may attach to two alkyl groups or one alkyl group, one aryl group, or on both the sides it is attached to the aryl groups. And here the examples we can see here, that is CH3OCH3. In this particular example we have alkyl groups, both are alkyl groups. C2H5OC2H5, both are alkyl groups, that is ethyl groups. In this example, one side we have alkyl group, that is methyl group. The other side we have phenyl group, which is nothing but the aryl group. So in this way we can have number of ethers. So this is about what are basically ethers. Now coming to the classification of ethers. So this classification of ethers is based upon the nature of alkyl groups which are attached to oxygen atom. So here we have seen number of examples where oxygen is centrally situated, on either side we have the alkyl or aryl groups. So depending upon the nature of this alkyl groups, that means whether they are similar type or dissimilar type, depending upon that the ethers can be classified into two ways or two types. One is simple ether or simple ethers. The other type of classification is mixed ethers. So what are simple ethers? Simple ethers are those ethers in which the two alkyl groups or two aryl groups attached to the oxygen are same. Here you can see centrally we have oxygen, on either side we have two methyl groups only, so two same groups. In second example also we can see that the two sides on the either sides of the oxygen we have two ethyl groups only. So we can call this as simple ether. These two are examples of simple ethers. Coming to the mixed ethers, this is quite opposite to simple ethers. So what are mixed ethers? Mixed ethers are those ethers in which the two different groups or two different alkyl groups or aryl groups are attached to the oxygen. Very simple. In the above example, if the two groups are same, they are simple. But if you change one of the group, then that will become our mixed ether. So see, you observe these examples. C6H5OCH3, where we have two groups are different groups are distributed at the oxygen. Here also two different alkyl groups are distributed. One is methyl, one is ethyl. In this example also we have two different alkyl groups. One is ethyl, the other one is propyl. So all these three examples are considered as mixed ethers. So now I think it is clear what are simple ethers and what are mixed ethers. So simple ethers are those ethers which will have the same alkyl or aryl groups. Mixed ethers are those ethers which will have different alkyl groups or aryl groups at the oxygen atom. They are called as mixed ethers. So we can give number of examples for simple ethers as well as the mixed ethers. Now after classification, let us discuss the nomenclature part. See, for naming every compound, we'll have two systems, that is common nomenclature system and IUPAC nomenclature system. So how to name ethers in common nomenclature? So generally, ethers are named as alkyl or aryl groups name, and to that the word ether is added. So how to give common nomenclature? You just name the alkyl group or aryl groups. After naming the alkyl or aryl groups, then the word ether is added. So now you may be thinking that we have two alkyl groups, then how to name? See, if you have two alkyl groups, those two alkyl groups may be of similar type or dissimilar type. If they are similar, very simple, we have to write it as dialkyl or diaryl plus ether. But if we have two different alkyl groups distributed at the oxygen atom, then very simple, you name alkyl groups individually and to that you add the word ethers. This you will understand very clearly when we go through these examples. Now coming to IUPAC nomenclature, and generally the IUPAC nomenclature, IUPAC is nothing but International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. So for ethers, the IUPAC nomenclature is given as alkoxy plus alkane. Now when we should use alkane? If there is a single bond present between two carbons, or we can also give the IUPAC name as alkoxy plus alkene if we have C double bond C in the molecule, or we can also give the IUPAC nomenclature as alkoxy plus alkyne if we have carbon-carbon triple bond character. So alkoxy plus alkane is the nomenclature for single bond. For double bond, alkoxy plus alkene. For triple bond, alkoxy plus alkyne. Now, sometimes apart from alkoxy, we may have the aryl group. So name the aryl group and then add the word this alkane or alkene or alkyne to give the IUPAC nomenclature. Now let us see the common as well as the IUPAC nomenclatures of few compounds. See, first one is CH3OCH3. The IUPAC nomenclature is, here we have written alkoxy. So both are similar groups. So you can consider any one alkyl group and you can take this oxygen as methoxy or alkoxy. So I'll consider this one of the methyl group and oxygen as methoxy, and this is the derived part of methane. This is derived from methane. So we can write the IUPAC name of this one as methoxymethane, because the general method is alkoxy-alkane. Why I have written methane? Because there is no double bond here. Here it is single bond present. So this is nothing but methoxymethane. Coming to this example, that is C2H5O and then C2H5, and this is also similar way. Here two groups are similar. When two groups are similar, it's very simple. Just take one alkyl group and add oxygen and name that as alkoxy. So this is what ethyl plus oxygen is ethoxy. This is ethoxy and this is the alkane part. So this is ethoxyethane. This is named as ethoxyethane. Coming to C6H5O, C6H5. Again, these two groups are similar, but this is not alkyl group. This is a phenyl group. This is phenyl group. So you have to consider one of the phenyl group along with the oxygen, and we can name this as phenoxy, and this is hexane, because hexane is what? C6H6. So this is phenoxyhexane. Now we have one more example, that is CH3O, C2H5. There is a difference between above three examples and this one. What is the difference? Here the two alkyl groups distributed at the oxygen are different. Now when they are different, how we are naming here? See, here we have to name this as methoxyethane. Then you may think that we can also name this as ethoxymethane. Why can't we name this structure as ethoxymethane? Why we should name this compound as methoxyethane only? So when you have mixed ethers, or when we have two different alkyl groups, remember always the smaller alkyl group should be named as alkoxy, and a larger alkyl group should be named as alkane. Understood? When we have two different alkyl groups distributed at the oxygen, in such condition, the smaller alkyl group always considered as alkoxy, and the larger alkyl group is considered as alkane. So here CH3 is smaller than compared to the C2H5. So this is named as methoxyethane. And one more example, the last example you can observe here, that is C2H5O, C3H7. This is also a mixed ether. So when you are naming this, just separate which is bigger and which is smaller alkyl group. So C2H5 is smaller. That's why we can write this as ethoxypropane. So this is about the IUPAC of a few compounds. And common nomenclature, I told you that you name the alkyl groups, then add the word ether. So in the first example, we have two similar groups or two same groups, that is two methyl groups. So we can name this as a dimethyl ether. In the second example, two same groups, C2H5, C2H5, so they are same. So this is diethyl ether. And in the third example, we have two similar groups, that is phenyl. We have diphenyl ether. We can name this as diphenyl ether. Next, we have mixed ethers, CH3O, C2H5. So very simple. You give the names differently for different alkyl groups. One is methyl, the other one is ethyl. So in this particular chart or table, I have written the first ethyl name, then methyl, then ether. Ethyl, methyl, ether. Very simple. Why ethyl first and methyl second means, according to alphabetical order, E comes first, so we are writing ethyl, and M comes later, so we are writing methyl. So we have to name this as ethyl, methyl, ether. And coming to the last example, common nomenclature. Again, we have two different groups. One starts with the P propyl and the other one starts with the ethyl. And in propyl, as all the carbons are present in straight line or in one line, Yeah, then we can call this as simple N-propyl. So ethyl N-propyl ether. So this is the common as well as IUPAC nomenclature of ethers. I hope you understood this nomenclature part, but you have to be very careful when you are naming the mixed ethers. Always the smaller alkyl group should be considered as alkoxy and larger alkyl group should be considered as alkane or alkene or alkyne based upon the bond present between carbon and carbon. So this is about nomenclature. Coming to the preparation methods of ethers. So in this, the very important preparation method or the first preparation method is Williamson's synthesis. So this Williamson synthesis, it's a named reaction and this is very important, uh, and this question generally will get in public exams. So what is Williamson synthesis? Or in competitive examples also, examinations will get this. So Williamson synthesis, in this, the sodium or potassium alkoxide heated with alkyl halide to yield or to produce ether. So in a simple manner, the reaction between alkyl halide and sodium or potassium alkoxide is known as Williamson synthesis. So first the basic equation, if you remember, we can give our own examples, number of examples we can give. So what is a basic Williamson synthesis? A reaction between alkyl halide RX and sodium or potassium alkoxide RONA or ROK, or we can also write it as R prime. Why I have taken R prime? To differentiate this R and this R. That's all. So Rx plus R prime ON, a reaction between alkyl halide and sodium alkoxide. When we heat this two, we'll get ether RO R prime with the elimination of sodium halide NaX. So very simple reaction between alkyl halide and sodium alkoxide. Now we can write the products. If we take ethyl iodide and sodium ethoxide, what happens? Just eliminate sodium iodide between these two and you combine these two, then we will get C2H5O, C2H5, which is nothing but the diethyl ether. And we can also write when methyl iodide is heated with sodium ethoxide. So again the sodium iodide is eliminated and here we are getting a mixed ether, that is CH3O, C2H5. If we combine or if we heat ethyl iodide with sodium, this propoxide, then what happens? Here also sodium iodide is eliminated and then we are getting this ether again, which is a mixed ether. So this is about the Williamson synthesis. So once again I am telling you, if you remember this basic equation, that is Rx plus R prime ONA, and heating is done and this is giving RO R prime plus NaX. So if anyone asks you to prepare simple ether or any mixed ether, then we can easily prepare whichever ether we want from Williamson synthesis. This is very important reaction. And one more preparation method is by the action of concentrated H2SO4 on alkenes. When alkenes are allowed to react with the concentrated H2SO4 at room temperature, this reaction is taking place at room temperature, then what happens here is when alkene, that is I have taken CH2 double bond CH2, which is nothing but the ethylene. So ethylene, when reacting with the sulfuric acid, here what is happening, the addition is taking place. So this sulfuric acid or H2SO4 ionizes to give H plus and HSO4 minus. So here hydrogen is added to one carbon and the HSO4 is added to the other carbon. So once the hydrogen is added, this is becoming what? CH3, then CH2, then OSO2 OH. This is the addition reaction, which is nothing but the electrophilic addition reaction. So once we get this, this is nothing but the alkyl hydrogen sulfate. So when sulfuric acid is added to alkene at room temperature, it is producing alkyl hydrogen sulfate. And here this alkyl name is ethyl. So we can call this structure as, or this compound as, ethyl hydrogen sulfate. Once we get ethyl or alkyl hydrogen sulfate, this is heated with ethyl alcohol at 140 degrees Celsius. And generally the excess of ethyl alcohol is taken. Now the reaction is taking place here, and from this we are getting ether. So CH3, CH2, or sorry, C2H5O, C2H5 plus H2SO4. So this reaction is taking place with the elimination of sulfuric acid. Remember here. So here we have this part, and from this one hydrogen is removed. So total there is elimination of H2SO4. Once we eliminate H2SO4, this C2H5 is coming and attaching to the oxygen. So we are getting this product, that is simple ether, diethyl ether. Coming to the physical properties after preparation methods, so we have discussed very simple two preparation methods. One is Williamson synthesis, the other one is by the action of concentrated sulfuric acid on alkenes. And now physical properties. The lower ethers, that means lower molecular weight ethers, are generally gases or volatile liquids. And the vapors of ethers are highly inflammable. If ether vapors we take out, they will catch fire very easily. So we can call this property as inflammable property. They are highly inflammable in nature. And the boiling points of ethers are much lower than alcohols having same molecular weight. For example, if you take ether having roughly 30 molecular weight or 30 grams, and let us take alcohol which is also having the molecular weight same 30 grams. But if you compare the boiling points, definitely the boiling point of alcohol will be more than the ether. The reason I'll explain you. And next one, these ethers, they do not form strong hydrogen bonds with the water. So if we discuss the solubility property of these ethers, they are less soluble in water and highly soluble in organic solvents. So ether's solubility is more in organic solvents and less in water. What is the reason? The reason is that the ether or ethers, they are not forming a strong hydrogen bond with the water. So when any substance is unable to form hydrogen bond or unable to form strong hydrogen bond, then its solubility is very less in the water. So now the reason, that is why their solubility is less. This is diethyl ether. This is also diethyl ether. And the oxygen present in this ether, generally this is called as ethereal oxygen. So the ethereal oxygen is involved in the hydrogen bonding, or a weak van der Waals force of attraction is existing between oxygen of ether and hydrogen of water. And the other side we have one more hydrogen which is free. So that is also involved in formation of hydrogen bonding with the second ether molecule by involving the oxygen of ether. So in this structure we can see there is a hydrogen bond formation between ethers and water molecule, but the hydrogen bond strength is very less. If the strength of the bond is more, then we can expect more solubility in water. But as the strength of the hydrogen bond is very weak, they are less soluble in water. So with this diagram, with this weak interaction, one can say that ether solubility is less. Though no doubt they are forming hydrogen bond with water, but the strength of hydrogen bond is very, very weak. So that's why their solubility is less. So this is about the physical properties. Coming to the chemical properties, in this, ethers exhibit inert nature. The ethers are less reactive, are due to inert nature, they are not oxidized or reduced easily. That means we cannot reduce ethers under normal conditions, or we cannot even reduce oxidize ethers under normal conditions. Not only that, they are also not affected by dilute acids or alkali metals like sodium and also phosphorus halides. If we try to react the ethers with phosphorus halides, then no reaction is taking place. So this indicates that ethers are less reactive. They are not more reactive. They are not highly reactive. So when any compound is less reactive, then to give the products, we have to use some special conditions or some suitable conditions we have to use. And they undergo few reactions, or few reactions are given by these ethers under suitable conditions, under probable conditions. So what are those suitable conditions? And what are the reactions that are given by ethers? That we'll see in the next slide. So ethers reactivity is less compared to alcohols. In the previous slide, we have discussed the boiling points of ethers with that of alcohols, and there we have confirmed that the ethers boiling point is very, very less compared to the alcohols. Now again, one more comparison here, the reactivity. Here the reactivity of ethers is very less compared to the alcohols. The reason is, in ethers we have hydrogen which is attached to the alkyl groups. But in alcohols, we have ROH general formula where the hydrogen is directly attached to the oxygen. So we can say that active hydrogen is present in alcohols, but that active hydrogen is not present in ether. What do you mean by active hydrogen? The hydrogen which we can replace with any group is known as active hydrogen. But such condition is not observed in ethers. We can't replace that hydrogen easily with any group, whereas this is possible in alcohols. For example, if we have ROH general formula alcohol, if we treat with any alkali, for example sodium hydroxide, what happens? ROH simply changes to RONA. So alcohol is changed to sodium alkoxide. So this is called as what? Active hydrogen. So this active hydrogen is not present in ethers. Now we'll see some of the reactions or chemical properties which are given by ethers. That is action of concentrated sulfuric acid. How ethers are going to react with the concentrated sulfuric acid? So ethers, they dissolve in cold and concentrated sulfuric acid to produce oxonium salt, and when this oxonium salt is heated, it will decompose to form alcohol and alkyl hydrogen sulfate. So look at this example, C2H5O, C2H5, this is ether and this is ethereal oxygen. Ethereal oxygen is having two lone pair of electrons. We are taking what? Cold sulfuric acid and concentrated sulfuric acid. This is cold and concentrated one. When this is treated, here protonation is taking place because lone pairs are present. So this H2SO4 is undergoing ionization to produce H plus and HSO4 minus. So H is going here. So as a result of that, one of the lone pair is lost on the oxygen. So here oxygen is left with one lone pair and OH bond is formed and oxygen is acquiring positive charge. Why positive charge on the oxygen? Because oxygen is giving its lone pair of electrons to H plus and forming OH bond. So now we have C2H5O, C2H5OH plus, and this is nothing but this is salt. This is having plus and HSO4 minus, and this is called as diethyl oxonium hydrogen sulfate. And this diethyl oxonium hydrogen sulfate, when we heat this, what happens? They will decompose to form alcohol and alkyl hydrogen sulfate. So they'll give alcohol and alkyl hydrogen sulfate. So this is the action of H2SO4. And then we have the other reactions. Action of hydrogen iodide or hydrogen bromide, that is hydrobromic acid, or HX. And this reaction is very important. So what is that? Depending upon the reaction conditions, ethers will give products when they react with the hydrogen iodide. So ethers, they will react with the hydrogen iodide, but the conditions we are changing. What are those conditions? So here we are discussing about the action of HI or HBr on ethers. The first condition is the cold condition. In cold conditions, ethers react with HI or HBr to produce alkyl iodide and alcohol. Look at this example, C2H5O C2H5 diethyl ether reacting with HI, but here I have mentioned the condition cold condition. Whenever we say cold condition, under cold condition, remember we'll get alkyl halide and alcohol. As we are taking HI, we will get iodide. If we take HBr, we'll get bromide. So C2H5O C2H5 are diethyl ether with hydrogen iodide. Under cold condition, it is producing alkyl iodide and alcohol. So we have to remember these products and this condition. Under cold condition, alkyl iodide and alcohol. Next, in case of mixed ethers, the iodine is attached to the smaller alkyl groups. See in the first example, depending upon this statement, everyone will write the same product. That is C2H5. Actually, this is C2H5 iodide. So just a small mistake here. So C2H5 iodide plus C2H5OH. This is not C6H5. This is C2H5. Remember. So C2H5I plus C2H5OH. So we are getting ethyl iodide plus ethyl alcohol. But when we have mixed ethers, in case of mixed ethers, what happens? Just I'll correct this one and then I'll continue, because in the first example we have taken a very simple ether where we have two groups as ethyl groups. So let me change this. So here we are getting C2H5. C2H5I. Right, this is C2H5I and C2H5 OH. So two products we are getting. One is alkyl iodide and the other one is ethyl alcohol. Now when we have mixed ethers, what happens? When mixed ether is present, here CH3O C2H5 we are taking. This is reacting with hydrogen iodide. Again the condition is same cold condition. So if I ask one student to write the product, he may write CH3I C2H5OH. Okay, right. If I ask other student to write, he may write C2H5I CH3OH. So this products are varying, are changing from person to person. But if I tell the rule, then everyone will write the same product. So what is that rule when we have mixed ethers? When we have the mixed ethers, in that condition, the smaller alkyl group should be named as alkyl iodide and larger alkyl group always should be named as alcohol. So in case of mixed ethers, the iodine is attached to smaller alkyl groups and we can write the larger group as alcohol. So mixed ethers, remember, the iodine part should be always attached to the smaller alkyl group. So alkyl iodide, when we are getting, in that the alkyl group should be small. Take second example, C3H7O C2H5. Here also we have mixed ether are two different alkyl groups and the condition is cold condition. Here also the two products are possible. In one condition are at one time I can write C3H7OH or at one time I can write C3H7I. But which one is correct? According to our rule, the iodine should go to C2H5 because this is smaller alkyl group. So alkyl iodide should, that is ethyl iodide should be the product as alkyl iodide and remaining, that is C3H7O is taking this hydrogen and that is converted into alcohol. So here we are getting two products when we have the cold condition and the reaction with the hydrogen iodide is giving alkyl iodide and alcohol as the product. And hot condition, so in hot condition, when ether heated with excess of hydrogen iodide or HBr, only one product is formed or only one type of product is formed, that is alkyl halide. Whereas in cold condition, the two products are formed, alkyl iodide and alcohol. In hot condition, only one product, that is alkyl halide or alkyl iodide. Why iodide? Because I am taking Hi here. We are taking Hi. So mixed ether, again mixed ether. When mixed simple ether means there's no problem in writing the product. But in hot condition, again there is no problem. Why? Because both the alkyl groups are converted into alkyl iodides. Both the alkyl groups are getting converted into alkyl iodides. So this CH3 is converted into methyl iodide. Ethyl group is also getting converted into ethyl iodide. And we have byproduct water molecule. One more example, C2H5O C2H5. When this is reacting with the 2Hi, here the two alkyl groups are same. So I can write 2C2H5I plus water. Again mixed ether C2H5O C3H7 and hydrogen iodide. It is giving two alkyl iodides. One is ethyl iodide, one is propyl iodide with water molecule. And in the last example, I have taken very simple ether, that is dimethyl ether with Hi. So remember, this is called hot condition. Under hot condition, we are writing the product. So only one type of product, that is alkyl halide or alkyl iodide. So we are getting again two molecules of CH3I and water. So this is hot condition. So my dear viewers, this is about the ethers definition and the classification, how they are classified, how the nomenclature is given for ethers, what are the preparation methods of ethers, and what are the reactions given by ethers, because very few reactions are given by ethers due to their less reactivity. So with this, I conclude my lesson or my class, and this is my first online YouTube video. So I thank everyone for watching this, and I'm expecting to comment on my video so that I can improve my teaching. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.